Hi everybody. What we're going to talk about today is colonizing America. So our time period is 1519 through 1733. So why does this matter? Well, French, Spanish, and English colonists will be coming to North America. The colonies that they founded often reflect the values and traditions of their homeland. These values and traditions help shape the core beliefs that most Americans share today. So for the next few lectures, we are going to look at how these colonies came to be. We'll start off with the Spanish and the French building empires in North America. So the main idea here is that the Spanish and the French colonies in America reflected the values of European society and the geography of the regions in which they settled. Our objective for this lecture is to be able to explain the early Spanish settlement of North America and describe the colonial society in New France. We have an overarching theme that reflects back to global connections, where European colonizers shape new cultures of North America. We're going to start off with the conquest of Mexico. In 1511, Spanish troops led by Diego Velázquez conquered Cuba. 6 years later, smallpox killed thousands of Native Americans and left the Spanish without labor to run the farms and mines the Spanish had built. In 1519, the Spanish government asked 34-year-old Hernan Cortés, pictured here, to lead the expedition to the Yucatan Peninsula to find people who could be forced to work on the farms and mines of Cuba. Cortés also wanted to investigate reports of a wealthy civilization there. Equipped with swords, crossbows, guns, and cannons, the Spanish had a technological advantage over the people they encountered in the Yucatan Peninsula. The local people had never seen horses before. They were astonished and terrified. Equally terrifying were the shooting sparks of the Spanish cannons. After learning that the Aztec were at war with many groups in the region, Cortés recruited the help of the Tlaxicalan people against the Aztec. Montezuma, leader of the Aztec, believed in a prophecy that said that the god of Quetzalcoatl, a fair-skinned, bearded deity, would someday return from the east to conquer the Aztec. Montezuma sent envoys to meet the Spanish leader. He offered to pay a yearly tribute to the King of Spain if Cortés halted his advance. The envoys also sacrificed several captives and gave their blood to the Spanish to drink. This horrified the Spanish. They failed to stop the Spanish advance, and Cortés marched in Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire. The Spanish attacked, first killing over 6,000 men. In Tenochtitlan, more horrific sights of human sacrificing, such as huge racks of human skulls and priests with long hair matted with human blood, Cortés stopped all human sacrificing and ordered the statues of the gods to be replaced with Christian crosses and images of the Virgin Mary. In 1520, the Aztec priests organized a rebellion against the Spanish and drove them out of the capital. However, in 1521, Cortés launched another attack and this time defeated the Aztec. After destroying Tenochtitlan, Cortés ordered a new city named Mexico to be built in its place. It became the capital of the Spanish colony, New Spain. Cortés sent other expeditions into what is present-day Mexico and Central America. The people who led the expeditions became known as conquistadors or conquerors. One conquistador, Francisco Pizarro, explored Peru and conquered the Inca Empire. Other Spanish conquistadors explored other parts of America, searching for rumored wealthy cities. Panfilio de Narvaez searched for a fabled city of gold in what is today northern Florida. Francisco Vasquez de Coronado led an expedition in search of the rumored 7 gold cities of Cibola. His explorations led him throughout the southwestern area of what is today the United States. Hernando de Soto led a large expedition and explored the area north of Florida. The Spanish gave the name New Mexico to the territory north of New Spain. They built presidios, or forts, throughout the region as trading posts and protection for the settlers. During the 17th and 18th centuries, Spanish priests also built missions throughout the region to spread the Christian faith among the Native American people there. One priest took control of present-day California by establishing a chain of missions from San Diego to San Francisco. A road called El Camino Real, or the Royal Highway, linked the missions together. Most conquistadors were low-ranking nobles called hidalgos, or working-class tradespeople. Their main motive for coming to America was to acquire wealth and prestige. After Cortes defeated the Aztec Empire, he rewarded his men by granting them control over some part of the empire. This was called the encomienda system. The people in the Spanish colonies in the Americas formed a highly structured society. A person's position in society was determined by birth, income, and education. The highest level of society consisted of the peninsulares, those born in Spain. Below this level were the criollos, those born in colonies of Spanish parents. Next were the mestizos, those born of Spanish and Native American parentage. The lowest level of society included Native Americans, Africans, and people of mixed Spanish and African or African and Native American ancestry. To govern this vast, diverse empire in America, the Spanish king created the Council of the Indies. This council advised the king and watched over all colonial activities. The Spanish king divided the empire in America into regions called viceroyalties. A viceroy ruled each region as a representative of the king. Although the Spanish did not find vast deposits of gold in the Americas, they did discover huge deposits of silver. Mining camps emerged all across northern Mexico. To feed the miners, the Spaniards created large ranches for their herds of cattle and sheep. These ranches were called haciendas. The men who worked the ranches were called vaqueros. Cowhands in the United States later adopted many of the ways of the vaqueros. In 1524, shortly after Cortes conquered the Aztec, the French king Francis I sent Giovanni da Verrazzano to map the North American coastline. The king was interested in finding a northwest passage, the northern route through North America to the Pacific Ocean. Although Verrazzano found no such passage, he did map a large area of North America's east coast. Jacques Cartier, another explorer, discovered and mapped the St. Lawrence River. By 1600, fur, particularly beaver fur, had become very fashionable in Europe. As the demand for fur increased, French merchants became interested in expanding the fur trade. In 1602, the French king authorized a group of merchants to establish colonies in North America. The merchants hired geographer Samuel de Champlain to help them colonize North America. Champlain established a French colony in what is today Nova Scotia, and he founded Quebec, which became the capital of the new colony of New France. New France was founded for the fur trade. Settlers were not needed to clear land or start farms. Consequently, the population grew slowly, but most of the fur traders known as coureurs de bois, or runners of the woods, did not live in the colony, but among the Native Americans with whom they traded. Jesuit missionaries arrived intending to convert the Native Americans to Christianity. Known as black robes to the Native Americans, the Jesuits tried to live among the local people to teach them the Catholic faith. Slow population growth worried the French as they watched Spain and England build prosperous colonies. In 1663, New France became a royal colony when King Louis XIV seized control from the merchants. The French government then introduced a series of projects designed to increase the colony's population. The government also began exploring North America. Louis Joliet and Marquette explored the Mississippi River. René Robert Cavelier de La Salle then canoed down the Big River to the Gulf of Mexico, the first European to do so, and claimed the region, for which he named Louisiana for France. Settlements were established in Louisiana over the next few decades. The French soon realized that crops suitable for the region required hard manual labor, which few settlers were willing to do. By 1721, the French in Louisiana had imported enslaved Africans, forcing them to do the work on the plantations. The Spanish established the town of St. Augustine, Florida in 1565 to protect their claim to the region after the French tried to settle in the Carolinas. The town became the first permanent settlement established by Europeans in present-day United States. After the French arrived at the mouth of the Mississippi River, the Spanish established a mission in eastern Texas to attempt to block the French expansion into the region.